Are you getting ready to apply for a passport, but you're not really sure where to start? Well, you're not alone. And since I made a video about how to apply for a passport, and over 350,000 people have viewed that video, I've gotten a lot of questions about how to apply for one. So in this video, I'm going to be addressing the top 15 most asked questions that I've gotten, and hopefully it will save you some time, some stress, some money, and maybe even an extra trip to the passport office in order to get yours. So make sure you stick around, watch all 15 questions, because the last one is probably the most important. All right, guys, let's move right into the video here, and let's start with the first question, which is question number 1. Which passport application form should I use? Well, there's actually a lot of different forms to choose from on the State Department's website, so let's head over there and go check it out real quick. Okay, you can come to this page right here, which is on the travel.state.gov website, and you can find the passport forms right here. And if you need to find which form you need to use, well, if it's your first passport application, which is probably most of you, you're going to use this one right here, which is the DS11. If you're renewing your passport, you can come down here to the DS82, but there's certain requirements for if you are actually renewing or not, so make sure you look into that. And then coming down here, there's some other forms as well. We don't need to worry about those right now because we are just looking for the DS11 most likely. So if you need help filling out either of those forms, like the DS11 or the DS82, I actually made step-by-step instructions for those, and I'll link those down in the description box if you're to that point already that you are filling out those forms. All right, let's move on to question 2 here. How much does a passport cost? Now, you have to realize that they are just going to be taking your money away over time, more and more, so the passport fees are actually going to change. They have already changed in my lifetime, and by change, I mean they definitely rise. They continue to go up. So there's always a way to check the most recent fees on the State Department's website. Let's head over and do that right now. As you can see, again, on the travel.state.gov website, you can see the passport fees. You can use a passport fee calculator right here to see exactly what you are going to be paying, and that will include things like if you're getting a passport book, a passport card, it will tell you the execution fees, the shipping fees, all of that right there. You just need to fill out some of this information, like where you reside, what your birth date is, if you've ever had a passport, and so on, and then it will tell you what you need to pay for the current fees for a passport. So let's move on to question number 3 here. Where can I get a passport application? Now, this picture right here is ridiculous because I put into an AI generator, show me somebody who's excited about the number 3, and that's what it showed me. Oh my God, just ridiculous. Okay, so I had to add that in to this video. Anyway, you can acquire a physical copy and fill one out by hand. Usually that's at the passport office. You might want to ask your local USPS. They might have one for you, but you can always just go to the State Department's website and download a PDF for that. So let's go check that out real quick, how to do that. Again, at the travel.state.gov website, you can come down here, and if you're applying for it, you can actually go to right here to download the form, and you can just fill it out by hand like that. Now, of course, you can always fill out the form filler on the same exact website. Again, let's go to that travel.state.gov website, and right here is something called the form filler. So we would just click on that, and then you will click on this. I've read the privacy and disclaimers and stuff like that. You submit that, and then you're going to start submitting over here. You're going to fill out your name, all of your information, and this will help you fill out your passport application right here. And then once it's filled out, you can print it out like that. It's probably the easiest way to do it. All right, let's move on to question number 4 here, which is, should I print the passport application double-sided? So as you can see here, I printed off a passport application for you, and you can see that here is page 1, and here is page 2 of the passport application. On the back of page 1, you'll see there's nothing there, so this is a single-sided print. You should be printing single-sided only. Page 2 should not be on the back of page 1. And so let's move on to question number 5, which is also about printing out your passport application. Should I print the passport application in color or in black and white? Well, we have a bit of a Schrodinger's cat here. Should it be black and white or should it be color? Well, you can actually have it both. Black and white is fine, as you can see, but also if you printed it in color, that would also be fine too. The most important thing is going to be the legibility of the application, and that's why I say it's probably easiest to go to the PDF form filler and fill it out like that and then print it out instead of doing it by hand, unless you have really good handwriting and you know you're not going to make a mistake. And so that brings us to question number 6, which is, what if my handwriting handwriting is messy, and I feel you, my handwriting is very, very messy, but it needs to be legible. Your passport application needs to be very clear. So no cursive or anything like that. Make sure you keep your letters and numbers uniform across the application. And that's going to bring us on to question number 7. Can I write in lowercase? And the answer is yes, you can write in lowercase, but I recommend only big block letters because this allows for conformity and clarity on the application. You're not going to be messing up things like a lowercase l and a capital I, for instance. So let's move on to question number 8, which is what should I write with? Well, if you're filling this out by hand, you don't want to use pencils, crayons, or markers. If you're going to be using anything, it should be a pen and it should be black ink only. I recommend a Pilot G2 pen. They look like this right here. You can refill them really easily. You just pull it off and put in a new one like that. They're really nice pens. They got the belt clip, they got the little clicky thing, and they just write really well, and I've just used these pens for years and always use them. I'll put them in the link in the description box if you need a pen. And that brings us to question number 9, which is what if I don't know or I forgot an answer on the passport application? Well, you're not necessarily going to get arrested if you don't know or you forgot anything, but you do want to be as truthful as possible. That means that you want to fill out as much info as you can on the application, but keep in mind that some answers can be left blank. For example, if you have never been married, you wouldn't need to answer a question about being married. Now, if you do feel like you need to explain yourself further on a certain question, you can always attach an extra sheet of paper to explain any situation. And that could be anything as simple as not knowing exactly your father's birth date or where they were born, for example. You might want to include that on the extra sheet of paper since you leave it out of the application. So let's move on to question number 10 here, which is what if I make a mistake on the passport application? Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to turn around and start over entirely because you can't have any whiteouts, you can't have any scratch outs or anything like that. It needs to be a very clean application. So if you make a mistake, you got to start over. So that's why I recommend, again, using the PDF form filler, which will help you fill that out without having to actually risk your handwriting, for example. So basically, you just have to get a new application and start all over again after making a mistake. So let's move on to question number 11, which is what if I need more space or my info doesn't fit on the passport application? That could be something such as like your birth city doesn't fit in the number of boxes they give you, but I have a really good idea on how to solve this. Again, just include an extra sheet of paper with the info there. So if the birth city doesn't fit, you can always just add it into the extra sheet. This is where I was born. That will work just fine. You can write down any relevant information to make sure that the application is as clear as possible. So let's move on to question number 12, which is what are the corner and bottom boxes for? So people see things like up in this corner right here, what is that for? Or what are the things down here? What are all these corner and bottom boxes for? Well, these are for office use only. And again, if you go back and watch my video on how to fill out the DS11 that I've linked down in the description box, you will see that I don't put anything in those sections. And people in that video were asking, what do you put in there? This is the explanation. Those are office use only. So do not touch those regions. So that brings us on to question number 13, which is how do I attach a photo to the passport application? Well, you can actually see they kind of show you exactly how to do it right here. They show you about the size that your face should be within the box right there. They also show you approximately that it should be 2 by 2 inches, and they even have these little marks right here where it says staple, 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 staple. It shows you exactly where the staples should go. So they should be vertical staples right there, right there, right there. So they really do a good job of showing you. Now, you don't necessarily have to staple it to the application itself if you're filling this out in person, or if you're turning it in person to a passport agent. They might just do it for you and staple it there because they know how to do it. But if you are unsure, they do have a little guideline right there on how to do it. So you just have to make sure that you take the photo correctly, and I made a video that I'll link again below in the description box for that if you want to see how to take a photo of yourself for the passport applications. You can also go to some pharmacies that offer photo services. I actually don't recommend those because they're not like professional photographers, and sometimes they'll mess up the photos and it just won't be passport application application worthy, and you'll have to get a new one anyway. So that's why I don't recommend that. The best way I think to get a photo is at the passport acceptance facility itself. When you are going into your interview, make sure you contact them prior, see if they can take the picture for you. Otherwise, make sure you get it done yourself. And then, of course, make sure you have it stapled correctly, which hopefully they can help you with at the passport application facility. So let's move on to question number 14 now, which is, what should I include with the passport application? Well, there's actually a lot of things that you should include with it. So you'll need the original documents as well as the photocopies of the following documents. For example, you will need citizenship evidence. So that could be like a passport, for example. That would prove that you're a US citizen. It could also be your birth certificate. If you don't have that type of citizenship evidence, you can use government-issued photo IDs. Now, you're going to use two forms of evidence in that case, like a social security card and a school ID, for example. So let's move on to the last question, which is question number 15. Should I sign the application right away? Well, most of the time, you're gonna wanna wait to sign the application right there where it says applicant's legal signature. You're gonna wanna wait until you're actually in front of the passport agent to sign that. It kind of acts as like a notary for you to make sure that you get it done properly. And if you still need help filling out a passport application, DS11 help will be right there. DS82 help will be over here. And then below my face, I'm going to put a playlist of some other videos for passport applications and other types of help that you might need. Love you. See you in another video.